get going. All right, go for it.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Carla Rimmer. I'm the school nurse at Islander Middle School, and Miss Dash and I were super excited to partner on talking to you a little bit more about wellness. And we, both of us had talked about our wellness journey since the pandemic started, and we're just going to share with you some things that happened in our families and how we're thinking about our own wellness reboots in hopes that you'll be inspired to think about other ways to make your body healthy. Oh, sorry, that was okay. I forgot. Sorry, Jana, which order we were going in. So one of the things that I was telling Miss Dash was I got super nervous when the pandemic started, especially when school was canceled, because I'm a firm believer that kids and students really thrive on routine and scheduling. And so I have two teenagers myself. My son is almost 17 and my daughter will be turning 15 in a couple of weeks. But I remember the night that school was canceled and looking at them and talking about, okay, we're going to be on a schedule. You're going to go get a good night's sleep. We need to make sure that we're eating really healthy. This is a great opportunity for us to get a lot of exercise every day. And I felt like I was giving this really inspiring pep talk about all the great things while we were all very nervous about what was going to happen with the pandemic. And I remember waking up the very next morning a little bit on the early side, because as the school nurse, I was going to be really busy thinking about how to manage things during a pandemic. But I walked downstairs into our basement. And this, after my amazing pep talk the night before, was what I found. The person on the sofa is who at the time was 15-year-old son. It was probably about 5 a.m. He had clearly fallen asleep on our sofa, not in his bed. The TV was on, and you could see he had taken my advice on really healthy eating there. We have a box of Twinkies, which, by the way, I've never purchased, some Girl Scout cookies, and what appears also to possibly be some sort of sugary beverage. So that was my first morning of the pandemic, school being out, and I was thinking, oh no, this is going to be a rough go.
So we all had, I think, different intentions. We, of course, weren't sure what to expect, but staying at home all day, every day is a new experience for us. And, you know, I can't speak for anyone else, but I imagine that some of you got creative, especially in the kitchen and with snacks, because with idle time comes, you know, snacking. And so on this slide, you can also see there's a picture of muffins and cookies and sourdough bread. Those were obviously some really popular hobbies that developed over the pandemic, over the course of time. And I have, I don't have a teenager, but I have 2 young kids. And so being inside my house with a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old had me really kind of craving activities that we could do together that would involve them and keep them off screens. So I definitely can relate to good intentions being lost by finding ways to entertain ourselves. So lots of muffins in my life, lots of cookies. I did not venture into sourdough bread, but I fully understand that that was something people got very into over time. So we are so grateful that you guys are here and you're interested in having a wellness reboot. Things have changed and hopefully we're moving in the right direction of getting back to some level of normalcy as we move into spring and summer. And so we definitely were brainstorming, Nurse Carla and I, about how can we get people back on track? I mean, we want great health and wellness for everybody at our school. And so we put together this presentation today to just give you some tips and tricks about how to get back on track with some of the really important elements of health, including sleep, healthy eating, limiting screen time. I know some of you are cringing as I say that. Mateo, you please mute. Additionally, exercise is something we need to be reminded of. And then of course, doing things in moderation. So we are hopeful that you hear our presentation today and come back around this afternoon with some new ideas, or at least one thing that you can try to change or tighten up or improve in your daily routine to get back on track with your wellness.
For those of you that have been on campus, this is the bulletin board that sits outside my front office. These are some of the healthy things we need to have in our life. And as we go further through this presentation, Ms. Dash and I are going to touch on these items and why they're important in your wellness journey.
Okay, if you haven't seen this, this is a really well done bulletin board in the hallway on your way to lunch. Okay, so the first element that we want to touch on is sleep. And, I think it's probably a possibility that some of you have been sleeping more than ever during the pandemic because, I can only speak for myself, but I did at some point hit a wall and I was out of ideas to entertain myself. So I found that I was going to bed a bit earlier. But as far as being a teenager goes, your body really does require 8 to 12 hours of sleep each night for maximum sort of rebooting overnight. As a teenager, you are going through what's called the second phase of cognitive maturation, which means that your brain is developing rapidly. And so by getting a good solid 8 to 12 hours of sleep, you're allowing your brain to rest and reset so that in the morning you can continue growing and learning. I know that there's probably some battles going on in your homes about technology before bed, and you might not love hearing this, but we as a counseling team make regular communication to parents and families about how devices like phones and iPads should be charged outside of the bedroom and turned off outside of the bedroom at least 30 minutes before sleep so that your body can shut down appropriately. Some things you can do to kind of unwind that don't involve screens would certainly be journaling, doing some sort of mindfulness or meditation practice before bed, and then definitely picking up a book and reading. I was telling Nurse Carla yesterday, I tend to read before bed every night, and it absolutely works to put me to sleep. I often fall asleep like 1 or 2 pages into my book. So that is an activity that is recommended to unwind appropriately so you get good rest.
One of the other things we want you thinking about while you're choosing snacks and things throughout the day is making sure that you get a healthy serving of fruits and vegetables. When my kids were little, we used to have a sticker chart that said, "Did you eat a rainbow today?" So thinking about if you can get something red into your diet, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, all of those things. It's a great way to make sure that your body's getting all the vitamins and minerals that it needs so that you can grow, because as you are entering or going through puberty these next few years, it's really important that you're fueling your body with healthy foods. Some of the ideas Ms. Dash and I brainstormed as you're thinking about what you might eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Breakfast I know can be tricky because, as Ms. Dash said, you guys do need a lot of sleep. So some of you might be rushing out the door to get to school. And so how do we get a healthy breakfast in? Quick things to eat could be yogurt, smoothies to go. One of the things I remember a friend saying was she used to give her kids a stick of cheese and blueberries as they ran out the door if they had missed an opportunity to have breakfast. If you have time to make something, eggs are really good. They're high in protein, really good for brain development with the yolks, the fat that's part of that. Sandwiches, salads, hard-boiled eggs, those are all good things to think about maybe packing for lunch. We do have lunch options here at school right now. They're not quite the variety that we used to have. So maybe thinking about bringing some fruits and vegetables with you to supplement what's available on campus is a good idea. And then again, at night with dinner, what does my plate look like? It should be some protein. It should be some vegetables. And then if you are vegetarian, sometimes protein can be a harder thing to think about getting into your body, but just remember, if you're not allergic to nuts, nuts are a good source of protein, as well as soy products and beans you could eat too.
Another thing we talked about yesterday in planning for this was that a lot of students got involved in helping to plan meals at home and to prepare dinners. And so that's another way, kind of a tip or trick to get yourself more involved in what goes into your healthy eating plan at home, is to get involved and have a voice in the preparation and the organization of what's going to be eaten in the house. Okay, so screen time, hot topic for sure. I had to laugh at the image of the kids on the couch, and I'm guessing many of you can relate. So here's the deal. We know full well that we're Zooming and doing screen time for school more than anybody ever anticipated or imagined. And so we can avoid some screen time. That's just the way it is right now. But what we're suggesting is that you try to limit the additional screen time beyond what's required in the school day when you're doing your asynchronous days or independent learning at home. So when we're talking about this slide in particular, we're referring more to like the social media time, doing things on the computer or playing games or things like that. So try to be mindful of that additional screen time. We're trying to suggest that you spend less than 2 additional hours beyond what's required for school, so that you don't burn out on device. And it's important that you have some social interaction and time away. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but our counseling team does a monthly newsletter for parents called Counselor Connection. And in the last month's edition, we shared some tips for parents, and maybe these suggestions or ideas have filtered into your homes. But one thing we recommend is that you avoid multitasking when you're on a screen. If you look at the girl in the middle, she's on her iPad and her cell phone. And actually the boy with the laptop, they're all multitasking. And so I'm not gonna act like I've never done it, but we want you to be mindful of that and try to, we're trying to limit screen time. So as much as you can avoid being on more than one device at a time, that's definitely that's important for your eyes and to give yourself a break. Certainly taking breaks is something else we recommend, like put down your device. You guys, on days that you're home and you're Zooming for really long periods of time, when you have, like when the students at school have a 5-minute passing period, put down your device, try to go outside, get some fresh air, walk a loop around your house, whatever that might look like. Another suggestion might be to turn off the self view. I think in talking to a lot of students, looking at themselves participating in Zoom classes and being online all day can be a little daunting. So consider doing that if you haven't. I also heard this really cool trick called the 20-20 rule. And the suggestion is that every 20 minutes, you look for something that's at least 20 feet away from your screen, and you fix your eyes on it for about 20 seconds. And this gives your body just a chance to kind of reset and regroup and blink a little away from the screen, so that you're not just becoming a Zoom zombie, so to speak. And then another suggestion is to get some fresh air. I kind of mentioned this, but as the weather gets better, there's definitely opportunities to just go sit outside and have your lunch outside. Take a break. Everybody has a minimum of 30 minutes in the middle of the day to have a screen break. And we really, really encourage you to take advantage of that. I'm sure it's tempting to log off, start texting friends, check in social media, things like that. But if you can really push yourself to avoid doing that, that's a really helpful sort of wellness activity, to just give yourself a screen break. And then last but not least, many of you probably know this, but there is an option on the iPad to turn off the blue filter, which can be a lot easier on the eyes as you're staring at your device for long periods of time.
Thanks, Ms. Dash. Those were amazing good tips for technology.
Okay.
The other thing we want you guys thinking about is, how can you move your body throughout the day? It's recommended that you get up to an hour or more of exercise every day. And for some of us during the pandemic, that may have been hard because we were told to stay inside, or the more we sit, the more our body maybe doesn't want to move. As you think about how you might get exercise today, some of you might already be involved in sports and activities, so you've got a planned schedule on how you're getting exercise, but some of us might not have that on our schedule. And so there are little ways throughout the day that you can get exercise. You could help if you've got a pet, maybe walk your dog. If you've got siblings or neighborhood friends that maybe you're seeing in your pod, you could play tag or run around in the yard. You could think about biking to school or walking to school. And all of the little bits of movement that you can do throughout the day help. For those of you who are lucky enough to be in PE, you get a lot of movement here. And Ms. Dash and I were talking about how things might add up. So I was thinking, well, gosh, if I walked 10 minutes from my house, there's 10 minutes. Maybe during lunch break here at school, I get up and I go outside and run around for 20 minutes with my friends. And then I walk the dog again after school. school. And so I've gotten my almost hour of exercise in, just doing fun things that I enjoy.
And I just want to add, a lot of us in this day and age have access to a Fitbit or a steps counter. And it's really interesting. I got a Fitbit in July of last year. And on the days that I stay home, admittedly, I don't walk a lot. I sit at my dining room table with my computer and I do work. And maybe I'll clock like a half a mile before the day is out. But now that we're back at school and I'm back on campus, I'm walking like 3 to 5 miles a day just by being there. So on Wednesdays when I'm home, I'm going to be trying harder to get up and move and take breaks and follow my own advice. But if you have a Fitbit, it's kind of interesting to track and just pay attention, challenge yourself to take more steps, each day. And so hopefully that will get you active and moving.
And to tag on to Miss Dash's story about the Fitbit, we don't want you being home using as an excuse not to move, because I actually do have one day where I was doing a lot of movement and projects around my house, and even inside my home, I walked 7 miles. So there is a way that you can get up and get moving around. So being home shouldn't be an excuse not to move.
All right, next up, so sugary beverages. If you just look at this picture, it's overwhelming. So in terms of hydrating and eating well, we want you to focus on beverages that are healthy for you. And I will be the first to admit, I do not drink enough water. It is something I'm constantly working on. But as far as what I drink, I don't drink sugary beverages on purpose, because I think if you're not aware of how much sugar is in each of these beverages, it's pretty mind-boggling how much sugar they can fit into something so small, really. So actually, I'm not sure how many of you have been following along with Mr. Millsap, one of our health teachers' videos that he has been presenting throughout the year called Minutes with Millsap. But I thought it might be fun to share a video he made that really breaks down how many actual sugar packets are adding up to be included in these different beverages that are fairly popular among young people. So we're actually going to take a break from talking and turn it over to Mr. Millsap's video that is all about sugary beverages. And it's about 5-6 minutes. So we hope, if you've seen it before, I hope it will re-educate you. And if you haven't seen it before, I think it might blow your mind. So forgive me with the technology piece, because I have a feeling this might be a little choppy, but we will load that up right now. Right, here we go. This is called Think Your Drink.
Hi, INS. Hey, I want to talk about the S word with you for a moment. You know what I'm talking about. Sugar, right? You're home all day. Maybe you go to the fridge, you reach in, and hopefully this is your main source of hydration throughout the day, right? You eat water, but I'm not gonna lie, once in a while, this tastes pretty good. A Coca-Cola or fruit juice or whatever drink besides water that you enjoy. Now, we need some sugar. It's true, our bodies have to have some sugar, but we can really overdo it, right? And that excess sugar can be stored as extra calories. So you've heard people say that this stuff has a lot of sugar, but do you really know how much sugar is in your drink? All right, so this is the little game here. We put 6 popular or common drinks that you've tried before. I placed them out here, and by the way, I've had these props for like 10 years. So if you're wondering why orange juice, stuff again, orange juice looks like this after 10 years. So probably don't want to open that. And this is what happens. List these drinks from most sugar to least amount of sugar per ounce. So I know that this is a big bottle and this is a one of these has the most sugar, then the second, third, fourth, all the way to 6. So if you want to take a moment and pause the video, the final results. Okay, well, let's see how close your guesses were. We're going to start with number 6. So we're going to work our way up to the most sugary drink of the group here. And coming in at number 6 is the Gatorade. Can you hold up the Gatorade packets? If you drank this big container of Gatorade, which is 32 ounces, would be 15 sugar packets inside of this. That means for every gulp you take, every ounce you take, my list says every ounce you take of Gatorade is a half a sugar packet, 2 grams of sugar. Okay, these sugar packets are 4 grams. Coming in at number 5, are you ready? Do you know what number 5 is? Coca-Cola. Might have been a surprise, but it's Coca-Cola. This is 20 ounces. So hold up the Coca-Cola. If you drank a 20-ounce Coke, whoa, 16 sugar packets. So with the Coca-Cola, for every ounce or gulp that you take, you're getting 3.2 grams of sugar. Again, there's 4 grams in 1 sugar packet. Okay, coming in at number 3, according to my list here, again, a bit of a shocker, orange juice. Orange juice, can you hold up the orange juice? This is how many ounces of orange juice? I believe this is 16 ounces of orange juice. Has how many sugar packets? 10 sugar packets. Now, before you email me and send me mail, I understand that orange juice does have the minerals your body needs. So there are some good qualities of orange juice, especially the orange juice that's concentrate. So you may not realize that your body actually, metabolizes fructose, natural sugar, just like it does table sugar. So it's still sugar in the body. It's extra calories if you don't use them. Okay, and oh, by the way, orange juice was 3.3 grams per gulp. Coming in at number 3, coming in at number 3, thank you, is chocolate milk. Chocolate milk, okay? Some schools have actually banned chocolate milk. This is, again, I think 16 ounces, and this has 12 sugar packets. It's a lot for chocolate milk. So that's 3.4 grams per ounce, per gulp ounce. And then coming in at number 2, do you know what it is? It is cranberry juice. Cranberry juice. Now, this tiny little cranberry juice, I should have looked to see how many ounces. Oh, 10. 10 ounces has how many sugar packets? Can you hold it up? 9. Could you imagine if you drink this much cranberry juice? Again, there are vitamins and minerals, so it's not all bad. But if you've ever had a cranberry, you know that they're pretty tart, so they load a lot of sugar in there to offset that. So cranberries juice has 3.6 grams per ounce. Finally, number 1, many of you might have guessed, if you've ever had it, you know it's a very sweet drink. Number 1, can you hold up the 20-ounce bottle? Has 19 sugar packets, almost a full sugar packet per gulp. There you go. So think about your drink, right? It's okay. Once in a while, we can all have something sweet. But just think about it and maybe don't make it an everyday. Coca-Cola might have been a surprise, but it's Coca-Cola. This is 20 ounces.
Wait 1 second.
Love that slide or that video from Mr. Millsap, because it really does show the amount of sugar that you get in your drinks. And just to put this into a little bit more perspective for you guys, the American Academy of Physicians recommends that for teens and women that you get about 24 added grams of sugar to your diet per day. So I just was tallying along with Mr. Millsap, and I think it ended up that if I had chosen to drink maybe all of those beverages in one day, you know, orange juice and chocolate milk for lunch, then I said, oh, midday I need a Coke, and then mid-afternoon I want a Mountain Dew, and then I'm at sports practice and I have some Gatorade, I would have gotten about 11 times the amount of sugar that I should be having in a day. Another fact that I've read about is that a lot of teens aren't aware of the sugar they're eating. And so sometimes during the day, the sugar that they're putting in their body is about 50% of their overall calories for the day. And so we don't want to tell you not to have a sugary beverage or to not have a snack that has sugar in it or is a treat, but we want you to think about doing that in moderation and not making the majority of your diet or drinks sugary beverages.
And so piggybacking exactly off of that, we're not going to tell you not to have a sugary beverage ever. We're not going to tell you, we're not here today to say, don't ever go on a screen in your free time. We just want you to be mindful as we kind of reboot that everything in moderation is okay. Let's just be careful not to be excessively doing the opposite of what is recommended here. So, in terms of, what we hope you gathered today is just some tips and tricks for staying on the right path. And quite honestly, gradual change are in behavior are the ones that tend to stick around the longest. And so we want you to be, you don't have to go from like 0 to 60 and make all these changes, every single thing we suggested today. We're not expecting that to happen overnight. In fact, we really warn against that because we want you to gradually get yourself back on track. Speaking for myself, it's not realistic that I'm going to say, starting today, I'm going to drink 12 glasses of water a day. That's not a realistic goal that's attainable for me. But I can say to myself, let's drink more than I did yesterday. Let me take more steps than I did yesterday. And so it's just being mindful and thinking through how you're going to make a little improvement here and a little improvement there. I did for sure want to just make note that sometimes there are people who are eager to make change and they want to kind of go all in. And so, those behaviors and kinds of changes that are intense and kind of all or nothing thinking can be dangerous, quite honestly. And so, of course, as a counselor, it's my duty to say that if you have a friend that you're concerned about who's making really drastic decisions, if you have concerns that they're maybe having some patterns of disordered eating, like they're not eating at all, or they seem to be eating a lot, like excessive amounts of food, definitely check in with a counselor because we have lots of tips and tricks for how to deal with those kinds of things that could be concerning. It may not be anything you need to worry about, but it could be. And so we want you to be mindful and pay attention. But really, at the end of the day, you can only control yourself. So really keep in mind that phrase that's on this slide, everything in moderation. Have a sugary beverage if you want. You don't have to be hard on yourself and be like, oh no, I've ruined my reboot. That's just not the case. But we want you to, take care of yourself, think about making good choices for your health so that you can get yourself on a track that you feel good about, that you're doing good things for your body. Okay.
And this is just to circle back to that boy that was laying on the sofa with his Twinkies and cookies the morning after the pandemic. My son has on his own just sort of done his own wellness reboot over the past year. He's really been more mindful. You can see the bananas in the background. That's one of his favorite things to eat. He loves banana with peanut butter, and that's kind of his go-to snack. Sometimes in the morning, if he doesn't have time for breakfast, that's his breakfast choice. He may even have been known to maybe make some scrambled eggs during the day on his own to get some protein in. And I always run home for lunch, and that's usually overlapping with where his lunchtime is. And I am now finding him in the garage doing this. He's doing jump roping and lifting weights, and we've installed a pull-up bar. So it's just his own commitment to fitness that he's developed on his own. And I just wanted to wrap around that last story.
Awesome. Well, we are so grateful that you guys took time to hear what we had to say today. And we truly, honestly hope you at least picked up one thing that you're willing to give yourself a chance to try. As a reminder, you have an amazing support system at school. Nurse Carla and I are definitely always happy to help and support wellness journeys. Of course, Ms. Klein and Ms. Goldstein, also on my counseling team, would be more than happy to connect if you have questions about anything you heard today, if you have concerns about anything you heard today, if you are worried about anything at all, we are totally here for you. And we do wish you all the best on your wellness journey. We hope that as we head into spring and summer, that you can be at your best and that you can feel good about your body. You're getting enough rest, getting enough breaks from the screen, and as much fresh air as you can. It's super healthy and awesome when the weather is good to be outside and take full advantage of what we've got going in the Pacific Northwest in the spring and summer. We are going to close out the recording and the screen sharing, but if you want to stick around, if you have any questions, we most certainly can continue to chat. So thanks for coming, everybody.